my own intro, which I'm totally fine doing as well. So I think we're going to do kind of similar to what Mark did. Just drop questions in the chat box, or if you want to send them over to Rena or Andrew, feel free to do that. And they can send those questions my way. So quick intro on top of what Andrew already provided. So I've been with the Office of Voc Rehab for 7.5 years. I work primarily, actually now I work exclusively with high school students in Philadelphia. So I coordinate with the kind of Market Street to Alney, and then River River and out into Northeast Philadelphia. So if you're in those high schools, those are high schools that I coordinate with. And then I've got colleagues who cover other parts of the city. So I'm going to just kind of talk about what OVR is and what we do, and then answer any questions that you might have. And I have given Rena a website that has more in-depth information on our agency that you can look at. She'll post it. So what we do, the quick and dirty, is that we work with individuals age 14 and above with disabilities to help them find and keep employment. So if you're looking for employment and you have a disability, which if you're on this call, you either have a disability or you are supporting someone with a disability, and you're looking for work, you're looking to go to work, or you're looking to get training to be able to go to work, we are an agency that can be helpful to you in helping get that training, or in discussing what services you might need to be able to help you get that employment, all sorts of things. We can help with if you need vehicle modifications or home modifications because of your disability to help you be able to get to work. We can also help with that. An asterisk to that is that you do have to own your home and own your vehicle. So there's more to that. And if you come through our agency, that your counselor can help walk you through that process, but that is something that we can help with. I heard somebody earlier talk about the Project Search program. It sounds like you're probably going to be, based on what I heard, out in maybe Phoenixville or maybe in Montgomery County somewhere, but Philadelphia actually has 2 Project Search sites at Drexel University and at the School District of Philadelphia for our high schoolers. So it's a really great program. I love it. I'm the liaison for it, so I have a special place in my heart for it. So we are federally mandated to exist, and so we're not going anywhere. The government helps us. Oh, in New Jersey. Okay. So the government helps fund our program locally. We are a state-by-state program. So New Jersey actually has the, every state has their own program. So Pennsylvania's is the Office of Vocational Rehabilitation. New Jersey's is DVR, Department of Vocational Rehabilitation, I believe. But all of the states, all of the territories, Puerto Rico, we all have, and the District of Columbia, we all have our own Voc Rehab program. Pennsylvania has 16 regional offices, and you can move between those offices, but it's all based on where you live. So if you live in the 191 blank blank zip code, so in Philadelphia, you would work with our Philadelphia office. If you live in Bucks, Chester, Montgomery, or Delaware counties, you'd be working with our Norristown office, and so on throughout the rest of the state. So you can transfer from office to office within Pennsylvania, but you can't transfer Pennsylvania to New Jersey. So if you leave the state of Pennsylvania, then you would have to close your case with Pennsylvania VR and reopen in a new state. I just saw a question. If you drive your child age 26 to their employment, but need to modify the vehicle for both you, health reasons, and the child, wheelchair and assorted health reasons, does OVR assist with that? So that's a really good question. And I am not going to give you a definitive answer, but I imagine the answer would be yes. There's a lot of gray area within our policies, which can be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on how you're looking at it. So definitely something that you can call our office and ask about. And I can provide Rena, if you'll just email me and remind me to send it in the morning, directions of how you can apply. So there's a number that you can call and we can email the directions directly to you, or Rena, if you want to post it, we've got some step-by-step directions of how to apply for the program.
Sounds good.
Go ahead. What was that, Rena?
Oh no, I said sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's pretty straightforward. We, at least I think it's pretty straightforward. It's kind of convoluted, but also pretty straightforward. We do, for certain things, like I said, you do have to own your vehicle, and it has to meet based on what you're doing and what modifications you need. There's additional paperwork and things that have to be done, obviously, for us to be able to do that. In addition to that, we would do something called a financial needs test, which is where we get financial records and we do some math calculations to tell you if and how much you would have to put towards services. So working with OVR is completely free. So if you're just working with myself or just working with one of my colleagues, we are a free agency. However, if you're getting additional assistance, like a car or vehicle modification in this case, or job coaching, or some assistive technology, there's a cost to that. And basically the rule of thumb is if we have to create a purchase order for it, then we do have to look at finances to be able to figure that out. It's not going, well, I'm not going to tell you it's not going to be unreasonable, but there is a math calculation. We look at the adjusted gross income and do a bunch of deductions from there. If you're looking at financial assistance for college, you do have to be degree seeking or certificate seeking. You have to be able to justify it. It can't be just like a liberal arts degree. There has to be a end goal, what you want to be doing with that degree. And it has to be, I'm going to work and here's why I need this specific training. But in addition to that, you do have to have completed the FAFSA. That is a requirement of ours. Any other questions? I feel like I'm just like word vomiting.
I have not seen any questions come through to my end.
Okay. So I wrote some notes ahead of time so that I could hit some bullet points. So I did mention that I work with high schoolers. We have a couple of different programs while you're in high school. So I have some colleagues that do group presentations with our generally 14, 15-year-olds. And then we have some individual services that we can do with our older group. Generally speaking, we start the individual intake process or the individual OVR services within about the final year of high school. So if that's, if you're leaving high school at 18, it would be your traditional senior year. If it's later, say it's you're staying to 21, it would be at final year of when you're exiting. How do you get around car ownership if you cannot drive because of epilepsy? So Miranda, that's a really good question. And I don't have an answer to that. Yeah, if you don't own a vehicle, we cannot modify it for you. Right? If there's not a vehicle to modify, I can't modify a vehicle. Okay, let me see. So some things that we can do while you're in high school is we can help with discussing what kind of jobs you're interested in, what kind of accommodations you might need on the job. And also help guide you towards websites that you can use for doing research, having conversations about, have you completed the FAFSA? What is your plan for after high school? Do you need training? How are you going to get to your place of employment? Obviously, I'm based in Philadelphia, and if you're in Philadelphia, then you know that we have a fairly robust public transportation system. Do I recognize that it's not the greatest in the country? 100%. Do I recognize that there are things going on in the city that are not terribly favorable? 100%. And I also recognize that there are places in the city that are not super accessible. I understand all of those things, but compared to other parts of the state, it is much more accessible. I actually don't drive in the city. I don't drive at all. I got my license 10 years ago and haven't looked back. So I actually use public transportation to get anywhere. So I understand that it has its faults. So if you're outside of Philadelphia or outside of a region that does have a good public transportation system, I am sorry. But if you can own a car, if you can drive, that is something that we can help with. I'm just going to look at some notes, see where else I can hit on. And I honestly think that this is really great information to take to anybody if you know of somebody else who has a disability. And for my agency, it can be anything like a learning disability, it can be an amputation, it can be seizures, of course, epilepsy, it can be any number of things. So really good information to take to if you know somebody else who could benefit from us, please feel free to share our information. We can also attend IEP meetings. If you or your young adult that you're working with has an IEP meeting coming up and they are 14 or above, you can definitely have their school reach out to our local office, wherever you're located, and see if an OVR person is able to attend that IEP meeting. So Andrew and Rena, I think I know I just ran through everything in 15 minutes. I'm so sorry.
No, that's totally fine. I will ask if anyone on the call one last time has any questions. They can drop them in chat. They can feel free to come on camera and unmute to ask them. I will kind of go through some little bit of housekeeping here at the end, but feel free to interrupt me with any of those questions. Let's see, maybe Rena can stop the recording here if there's anyone who's feeling a little shy with the recording going to ask those